Hey folks, here. Welcome back to another Master video, and today we're going to talk about some of the changes that happened earlier, right, in terms of a lot of these passive secondary effects and their formulas, right, mainly stuff like, hostile environment, on a roll, swag bag, all that stuff, right. So, for those of you who don't know, although I did mention this before, right, that the formula for a lot of these passives actually, had quite some changes, right? Ever since, again, one of those updates. And some passives got, significantly buffed. Some, overall, they all got buffed, but, some ways of using them got nerfed, if that's the correct phrasing. I don't know. Anyways, we'll go over all of it in this fantastic post by our lovely Discord server admin runner, and it's a very long post. It's I swear it's very fun. It's very entertaining. It's super fun. We're gonna go over this together. Just to explain, for folks who don't, because it is sometimes slightly difficult to wrap your head around all this, and plus it's just a mobile game. Who really cares that much though? Right? Which is fine. It's fine if you don't know. Don't feel bad about it. So anyways, also shout out to all the people who helped out with testing all this stuff. A lot of people on the server, multiple days, right, to get, although unfortunately we couldn't get a absolutely perfect sample size. Not that that's even possible, but just shout outs to folks who helped test these out, right? Turquoise, hopefully I got these names right. Ropalm, Alec Rawl, The Weather, Bob, Hugo, and Equivocating. I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of your names. Please DM me so I can personally apologize. All right, now that we're done with the hard part, which is pronouncing some names, let's get into the whole post, right? So, secondary effects and passives. So, again, like I mentioned before, back in the late November update, the one that we got. The super interference with Santa Skyla, right, which is the one that kind of sort of merged both hostile environment and aggravation into one, and that also caused Volkner's flinch and paralysis to be bugged, right? Although it is fixed now, so don't worry about that. But yeah, ever since that update, they actually just switched up the formula of how these passives work, right? And so, how people found out was there was some really glaring, some really glaring probabilities that kept on happening that made people suspect, did they potentially change the formula, right? Some of them was for example, Gladian's Crush Claw on a roll has a 100% chance of lowering defense, right? So every time you use Crush Claw on a roll, it will lower the opponent's defense, right? Not that it's that great. It's still it's a 2-gauge move to lower the opponent's defense with -1 instead of Screech, which could give you -2. But yeah, outside of that, Flamethrower Hostile Environment 1 in the Hoenn Full Force Battle one, that one has a 100% chance to burn, right? If you guys remember that. A lot of you guys probably remember this one, right? The Blizzard Hostile Environment 9 in the Nolan co-op Villa stage. Does not have a 100% chance to freeze multiple opponents. Volkner's Thunderfang Aggravation 4 has a 100% chance to flinch and paralysis with the Champion Stadium special parameter, the one that increases the chances of the of additional effects of moves and all that stuff, right? Grant's Rockslide Aggravation does not 100% chance to flinch with the special parameter, right? And then based on so what the theory was before was that every one of these every one of these passives, depending on what number they were an extra roll, right? For example, if, back in the day, if it was Aggravation 2, it was 2 rolls of Aggravation 1 or whatever. So that was the previous theory, which again is not valid anymore at the moment. So if according to the previous theory, Gladian's lowering defense chance should be 75%, the Flamethrower Hostile Environment 9 burn chance should be 65%, And then obviously that's not what's happening, right? So again, folks started doing some tests, right? And the expected results. So this is the table over here. HE's hostile environment, OAR is on a roll, SB is swag bag, AGGR is aggravation, MT means multiple targets. So here's their experiment results, right? This is post update, and this is the expected results based on the old extra rolls theory, right? So, for example, Bubble Beam 1 on a roll 4. The extra roll theory would have given it 41%, but the experiment results was around like 45.8% or so, right? Let's say Energy Ball 2 on a roll 2s. The expected would be 41%, but the experiment results were 54.4%. Obviously, again, from the sample size, we can't like get like an exact, but we got like a decent amount to like pin down a formula, right? And then moving on, Crush Claw on roll 1 is 100% when the expected was to be like 75%, on and on, right? Multi-target Blizzard should have been like 90%, and then it turned out to be like around 10% or so. Multi-target Rockside Aggravation 1, 51%, in comparison to like 27.56%, right? And this is single target Rockside, right? So they also tried the with the special parameter in the Champion Stadium, right? And then it turned out like these are, you know, what happened, right? With the Champion Stadium, the parameter, right? So based on that, folks, you know, tried and find, you know, a new formula for how it works, right? Basically, so this should be the new formula based on, again, the experimental results and you know, the new theory, right? Which is your chance for all these passes, right? The final chance equals to your base chance times 1 plus the number of passives times the modifier of the passive, right? So what that means is the base chance is the chance to flinch at base, right? So if it's like Thundershock, it should be like 10%. If it's Ironhead, like 30%, right? Times 1 plus the number of passives, how many of those passives you have, right? If you have one on a roll, if you have like 1 on a roll 1 or 2 on a roll 1s or 1 on a roll 2, 2 on a roll 2s, whatever they are, you know, like Berg has like multiple on rolls, right? So you have to have that, the number of those, times the modifier of the passive. The modifier of passive is just the number behind the passive, right? On a roll 2 would be 2. On a roll 3 would be 3. On a roll 5 would be 5, right? And then this is the amount. If there's like 2 honor roll 5s, which I don't think is in the game, right? This would be 2 times 5 plus 1 plus the base chance of whatever your thing is, right? If it's like psychic, it's like 10, I think 10%, right? And then like here would be an example. For example, Bubble Beam on a roll 1. So your base chance for Bubble Beam to decrease the opponent's speed is 10%, and then you times that by 1 plus there's 1 on a roll, right? So 1 over here times 4, which is on a roll 4, and that should give you a result of this is what, 4 plus 1, 5 times 10% is 50% chance to lower the opponent's speed, right? That's just an example. And like I mentioned before, it works with on a roll, works with, you know, swag bag, aggravation. All these hostile environments should be the same formula, right, over here. So yeah, these are, again, the experiment results versus the expected, which were much more closer. Again, still not 100% there, but much more closer. So this formula does seem to reflect the chances a bit more closely than the extra rolls theory, right, that we had before. So these are, again, some of the examples, right? Crush Claw, 100%. Like Crush Claw, it's supposedly, you know, 50% at base, right? 50% times 1 plus should be 1 over here. So it's 50 times 2, 100%, right? So that's, again, how all of these work. And moving on, this paragraph, let's see what this says. It's possible to see you have some values that do not fit or weren't close enough. In the case of aggravation 4 on a rule 4 method testing, there's no way to get that actual value expected. Confidence interval where the stadium parameter helps a little. Oh yeah, it's because it's just like it's really hard to get these off in terms of like the numbers, right? That's why like these do seem like they deviate a bit, right? But again, if you plug that same formula with these and then use the extra parameter from the champion stadium, it should give you the same result. So the champion stadium parameter, it works like this. So the champion stadium parameter is basically another ×2 before all of these, right? So it times your base chance by 2 before like any of these. Like for example, let's go with like Stevens, Metagross, Ironhead Aggravation, right? Base chance 30% times 2, right? The champion stadium parameter. So that's what 60%, and then times 1 plus 1 over here, because number passive it's 1, aggravation 1, so 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. I think most people know that, right? So the base chance again times 2, 60%, times the 2 over here would be 120%, which obviously caps out at 100%, right? So that's why, if you guys remember my video earlier, when we actually had that parameter, I did like a full flinch team with, I think, was it like Steven, Acerola, and Eviltall, I think, if I remember correctly, was that, right? Where every single time they get 100% like flinch, right? The opponent gets flinched every single time. So that's how the champion stadium parameter works, right? When we're talking about that. So multiple targets. So multiple targets, as you can see, these got buffed, right? Like the chances of these all got buffed. The multiple target one actually did get decreased because instead of, again, additional rolls, what multiple targets basically act like is they're like, they work the same way as damage, right? So, when you're doing like AoE moves, right? If you're hitting like 3 opponents, it's 50% of your max damage each, which adds up to under 50%, but it's 50% of your max damage each. If it's 2 opponents, it's 2/3 of your damage each, and if it's 1 opponent, it's 100% of your damage, right? So the multiple targets over here work the exact same way as that, right? So for example, let's take an AoE. I don't know. What's a good example? I don't remember any of these races. Is Blizzard like 10% base chance, or is it 20? I think it's 10%, right? So yeah, let's take Blizzard 10%. So base chance 10%, right? Hostile environment 1, so it's 1 plus 1, so it should be 20%, right? Because 1 hostile environment 1 is 1 plus 1 equals 2 times base chance 10 equals 20%. So if you're hitting one target, the Blizzard has a 20% chance to freeze. However, if you're hitting 3 targets, right? So you'd have to divide that by 2, because it's only 50%, so it's 10. And if you're hitting 2 targets, right, the 20%, it's again 2/3, right? So you have to this instead. I don't have a better calculator, so it should be like around like 13.3% instead, right? So instead of, again, the additional rolls method or theory, it would have been much higher than this. But with the new formula, it seems, again, if it's kind of, again, it's just basically like AoE moves, right? If you're hitting 3, it's half the chances. If you're hitting 2, it's 2/3 of the chances, and if you're hitting 1, it's 100% of the chances to freeze a specific one. If you're looking, if I use 1 Blizzard, what are the chances to freeze at least 1? It's still, the rolls, right? You still do the rolls for that. So yeah, that's basically all the passives, right, over here. Again, just hostile environment, aggravation, swag bag, on a roll, Did I miss any? I think that's all of them, right? Yeah. So that's basically all those. So moving on to Troublemaker and Accuracy and Evasion. So this one is pretty interesting as well. This one's like, I swear, it's really not that hard to understand in terms of this once you actually like get it, right? So since the start of the game, basically how Troublemaker worked is people thought that it was, we got extra accuracy with it, right? And it is inconsistent because so far, like every time like you use, like it's basically 100% to put to sleep, right? So, the the formula that is expected would be something like this, right? The base chance, right? For example, hypnosis 75% chance times the accuracy stat change plus 6, right? So if it's plus 4 accuracy, it's 4 plus 6. Plus 2 accuracy, it's, I don't know, 2 plus 6, whatever. And then evasion stat changes would be, or you have to divide by the evasion stat changes plus 6 as well, right? So for example, if you're using like hypnosis at 75% chance, and then you have like plus 2 accuracy, you have to go with like plus 2 plus 6 and divide by evasion. If the opponent had like plus 3 evasion, that's like 3 plus 6, right? So for example, let's pull out, let's just do it on the calculator. 75%. Actually, let's how do you clear this? I think it's cleared, right? So for example, if you have like two, like let's say you have like plus 1 accuracy, right? So it's like 1 plus 6 divided by, let's say the opponent has plus 2 evasion, right? Plus 6, how much is that? 0.875 times your base accuracy, which is 75%. Then it goes down to like 65% or so. That was how it used to seem like, right? So I think I have to make this bit smaller so it shows all the where am I now? Oh, so it shows the whole table. So with the new formula, right? That seemed like that is how it works right now, is basically you have to treat it like stages, right? So the final accuracy would be the base accuracy plus this times the stage multiplier, right? And then the stage multiplier is the accuracy change minus the evasion change, right? So for example, like it turns, like instead of like multiple, it turns it into like an additive stage, right? So for example, plus 6 would be plus 6 accuracy and plus 0 evasion for your opponent, right? So if you have plus 6 accuracy and and opponent has plus 0 evasion, then this is how it should go. It should 6, right? 6 plus 6 divided by 0 plus 6. Let's say if you have if you're at plus 3 stage, it could be multiple ways of getting to plus 3 stages. It could be, for example, if you're at plus 3 accuracy and the opponent has plus 0 evasion, it could be at this plus 3 stage, which you have to multiply by this multiplier. Or for example, if you're at plus 6 evasion and the opponent is at plus 3 accuracy, it's still over here, right? So use this multiplier because you use your accuracy change, which is again plus 6, minus the evasion change, which is plus 3, which still lands you at plus 3, which you use this multiplier, right? So for example, if you have, say, plus 1 accuracy and the opponent has plus 5 evasion, so then you would land over here and you use this multiplier, right? So that's how it should probably work over here, right? So for example, right, if we're using hypnosis, sleep powder, like these are like the most common ones, right? So for example, if we're using that, right, and the opponent, let's say they have plus 2 evasion and we have plus 3 accuracy. So 3 minus 2 is plus 1. So we, times 7. And then that would be our accuracy, 87.5%, right? You guys get the point. So that's basically how, the accuracy change works. So Troublemaker is also interesting, right? So there, let me actually just skip this part. We get to like the edit on the Troublemaker is basically Troublemaker actually, it seems like it acts more like the passive. Which by the way, the accuracy and evasion, they do cap out. Even if they do have a cap, which is at like 50%, right? So there's that to also keep in mind. And again, for Troublemaker, it's kind of they kind of actually behave like the passives before, right? So for example, Troublemaker 1 over here would be, if we plug it into the original or the other passive formula, be say like 75% times 1 plus, again, Troublemaker 1 times 1, which is 2, which would be 75% times 2, which would be 150%, except it's not really. The only caveat here is Troublemaker is not a base like accuracy buff, so it acts like a passive, so it caps out at 100%, right? So that's the interesting part, because when we were looking at the Aggravation 9, when the opponent had like an Aggravation 9, I can't remember what move was it with, not Aggravation, Troublemaker 9, right? There was that stage with Troublemaker 9, and what happened was, and actually I remember I had this on camera as well when we were doing it. I was at +1 or +2 evasion, and then the opponent used that with like Troublemaker 9, and then it still missed, because if it wasn't, if it didn't cap out at 100%, right, Troublemaker 9 would theoretically be, let's see, 75% accuracy times 1 plus 9, which would be times 10, which is, doesn't matter like how much your evasion buffs, it should always still hit you. But it didn't. It missed. So that means Troublemaker is not a direct accuracy buff. More so like it buffs the chance of it landing, but it's not like a buff to like the accuracy, right? So it does cap out, right? So basically what you need to know is Troublemaker 1, Troublemaker 9, the difference is it's the same, right? Because there really is we could find more evidence. We could potentially find evidence to disprove that if we ever got like any status moves that were like much lower accuracy. If there's like a 30% accuracy move or something in the future, maybe this could disprove this theory. But at the moment, it seems like no matter if it's Troublemaker 1, Troublemaker 9, it all caps out at 100%. And then after that, you still have to deal with the accuracy and evasion buffs, right? So, for example, if you had like for example, if you theoretically you had like Troublemaker 9 hypnosis on your imaginary Gengar, right? And then used hypnosis, again, Troublemaker 9, and the opponent has +1 accuracy or +1 evasion, they will dodge it. However, if you had like +1 accuracy on your side, then you would be fine, right? Because 1 minus 1 equals 0, and with the accuracy evasion formula, you times 6 of 6, which is still 1, right? So you'd still have 100% accuracy on your hypnosis. So if the opponent buffs evasion, doesn't matter how much Troublemaker you have, you still need accuracy buffs to match the opponent's evasion buffs if you want these to land 100% of the time. Let me see if is there anything else I missed. There is one exception, which is the hostile environment 10, on the Entei Legendary Arena stage. The thing about the Hostile Environment 10 is that it burns you 100% of the time. Like, that's the exception. It doesn't work like the formula, because if it worked like the formula, it wouldn't be 100% chance to burn every single one of your opponents on the AoE. It would the chance would be half of that, right? But however, it does burn 100% of the time. So this is the one exception, because you don't see that too often, because like most of these modifiers, like Runner mentioned over here, is like usually just 1 to 9, right? And for some reason, Hostile, Environment 10 just makes it so that it's like 100% burn. Also one more thing that reminded me is that the multiple target thing is only for the flinch status and, again, damage, right? If it's like stat lowering, it's still the full effect. Like, for example, Maze, Muddy Water on a roll, right? Like, if you pick up the Champion Stadium additional effect buff parameter, it should still 100% lower all your opponents' AO. Actually, so the stat lowering things, those are not influenced by that. So anyways, again, that's one, I guess. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys understood it. I mean, again, it's not the easiest, right? I'll link the post in the description box, so you guys could look over it some more. Maybe leave an upvote. Are you even allowed to upload it anymore? I don't even know. But yeah, again, thanks to Runner for writing this up. And yeah, hopefully you guys understand it, I guess. So yeah, a lot of units got buffed, which is really, really nice. And this is cool. This is a positive thing, right? So anyways, again, that's what this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me guys think in the comments down below. Like, enjoy this video, so my channel for some more Problemmasters content. I'm gonna go drink some water because that was a lot of talking. And have fun, good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next one.